They're coming down right now, advancing towards those people that were trying to get on the highway again. How are they responding to officers moving towards them?
Not violently. They've been similar to what you've heard before, just, yelling, saying that, they're upset and yelling Black Lives Matter. But for the most part, they've been overall civil. At one point when they started coming down, they seemed afraid and they started yelling and running down. But for the most part, it seems like this group is running out of gas. A lot of people are sitting along the highway just, relaxing. They're not necessarily yelling at police officers. They're just kind of standing in front of them at this point.
All right, our Bobeth Yates there live on the ground. We are now at 1:11 in the morning on Sunday. It's hard to believe that we've come this far because we've had several hours of coverage at this point. We've had more than 24 hours of protests here in the city of Atlanta. We still have news crews on the scene. We still have protesters going strong as this protest goes strong. We just had another fire set not too long ago. Remember, we had the Wendy's that was just really taken over by flames, which has now been torched and charred and scorched as well. And then we also had several fires, smaller fires around that building, that restaurant that have been set throughout the entire night. And this is right next to several gas stations, Rick, and that was a major concern for Atlanta Fire Rescue earlier tonight.
Well, can you imagine? I mean, if one of these fires were to spread to a gas station and there were to be some type of either larger fire or explosion with all of those people out and about, and there's that car again doing donuts, you really just you just don't want to see that happen. And so it's a major concern on the part of firefighters. And this is going to be a concern as well, to see someone in that vehicle there doing donuts and putting other people in harm's way, including some officers that might be out there trying to protect the protesters. You just hate to see that. But that's what's going on here. Bobeth talking about how they're losing steam a little bit, and that is understandable after so many hours of protests. But there is no curfew. And so there is really no law or rule in place that police are able to enforce right now to say it's time to go home, as long as these people are protesting peacefully, even at after 1 a.m. and they're not breaking any laws. And so the police are sort of letting them linger, letting them mill about, keeping them off the highway, keeping them from putting themselves in harm's way or putting any drivers on the connector in harm's way. You can understand that, but there certainly isn't anybody trying to tell these people at this point that the party's over, the protest is over, and it's time to go home. As we take a look at on the right-hand side of your screen, the two officers we now know who were involved in the deadly shooting of Rayshard Brooks, Devin Bronson on the left-hand side of your screen, and relatively new officer who only joined the force back in 2018, Garrett Rolfe on the right-hand side of your screen, the officer who has been fired. Officer Bronson has been put on administrative duty. Officer Rolfe has actually been fired from the force, we presume because it was his weapon that fired the fatal shots that killed Rayshard Brooks, a 27-year-old man, a father of young daughters who had fallen asleep. Perhaps he was drinking, unclear. The details are unclear at this point, but he had fallen asleep in his vehicle in the line for the drive-through at the Wendy's on University Ave. That's what led to someone calling the cops in the first place. And then it was the scuffle that came about when Mr. Brooks tried to question why he was being arrested. And there was a scuffle that eventually led to Rayshard Brooks getting his hands on the taser of one of the officers involved. And then he ran away, briefly turning back towards the officer, and it looked like firing the taser. And it was then that we saw the police officer, Officer Rolfe, discharge his weapon and fire at Rayshard Brooks, killing him in the parking lot of that Wendy's restaurant.
And we're still working to bring you that body cam video live on air. In the meantime, though, you can watch it on our CBS 46 YouTube page. We do have the other video that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. This is witness video, and we also have the surveillance video that was released by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation earlier today. I think one question we need to bring up and address is, where do we go from here? What is next in this case and in this investigation? So we know that protests are continuing into the early Sunday morning as officers stand on the front lines with protesters as they continue to set fires down there on University Avenue. We know that the GBI is still working this investigation. They're gathering all that evidence. Now they have at minimum, 3 different versions and 3 different angles of this shooting of Brooks. And so now they have to take all of this and bring it to the desk of Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard. He will then take over from there and bring about any charges if he sees fit. Once again, he did tweet earlier today that his own investigators were also out at the scene last night, or Friday night, I should say, when this first happened, doing their own investigation. But this is just the beginning, Rick. We have to realize that this is just started on Friday. We're in Sunday morning, and this is just the beginning of this case, this local case that we now have of police brutality, one that is certainly making national headlines.
That's correct. And all eyes are going to be on the investigators and the prosecutor to see exactly how this is handled. We should say that this is a prosecutor who has not shied away from charging police officers, as we saw in the charges that were leveled against the officers involved in the tasing of that young couple during the protests a week plus ago. And that was something that caused a lot of problems within the department, that the officers had been charged while trying to calm protests. And we heard there was a story that our colleague Jamie Kennedy broke around that time, that the officers from other jurisdictions who had come to Atlanta to help out with the protests no longer wanted to offer assistance because they were afraid that they might conduct themselves in a way that would lead to them being charged with some kind of a crime. But you're right. Those are the questions that need to be answered. And this is the very beginning of that investigation. So we'll see exactly what happens, Britt.
All right, so let's go back to the ground now, where we've had our team of reporters all day. Bobeth Yates, Yasmina Alston also there. We're going to head to Bobeth Yates first for another update as to what is going on. Where you are, Bobeth.
Well, right now, we've just moved out to the very center of the line. You can see that protesters are now once again kind of clashing with law enforcement. Earlier, this entire line kind of thinned out, and you could see officers very clearly. It was only like a few, but now they're back at it. They're yelling, they're confronting officers, and it just seems like, again, it has become heated again. So it's like it dies down, gets back heated, dies down, gets back heated. But again, the crowd is still thinning out. There's still a lot of people out here, but it was nothing compared to what it was maybe even 30 minutes ago, I would say. But now we actually have 2 sides. So you have this side here where I'm looking at. This is the on-ramp to 75. And if we swing all the way around to the other side, you can see on this end, protesters are also clashing with. We can see that protesters are also clashing with officers on this. So you see that officers are on this side also. But we're definitely dealing with a lot of protesters as they try to get a little bit more hectic. One thing I also realize is that there's a store here that is actually open. That Texaco station, or that actually not the Texaco, the Chevron station is actually open right now. That Chevron station is open, and people have been going inside there, and they're actually still selling items, and they have been open through this entire thing. So we're definitely seeing, one of the reasons that people are able to keep out. So, and protesters are definitely get a little bit high, a little bit more heated than they were earlier. But It's kind of a mixed bag because one moment they're up, one moment they're down.
All right, Bobeth.
So we're definitely seeing a lot.
Okay, stand by if you would. We want to get to this body cam video that we've been telling you about that we have just been able to turn around and get on the air. This is the body cam video from Officer Rolfe.
As hard as you can until I tell you to stop.
You see, this is a sobriety test
Stop. Very good.
where Rayshard Brooks is tested.
That's it.
How many?
Right. Just take me home. I'm ready to go.
So you had about 1.5 drinks, but you don't remember what kind of drinks they were?
No, sir.
All right.
I really don't, Mr. Ross.
All right. I think you've had too much to drink to be driving. So put your hands behind your back for me. Yeah, put your hands behind your back. Hey, stop fighting. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. You're going to get tased. You're going to get tased. You're going to get tased. Stop.
Come on, man.
Stop. You're going to get tased.
And that's it. We do not see the actual shooting in this video. You can see the body cam evidently falling off of the officer and then just sort of shooting straight up.
All right, so we're going to watch the video. Again, this is from Officer Rolfe's camera. This is the officer that was fired today from the Atlanta Police Department. We're just going to continue to watch it live right now. This is Rayshard Brooks. You see him standing here talking to officers. We'll let you listen to the audio.
You don't remember what kind of drinks they were?
No, sir.
All right.
I really don't, Mr. Ross.
So,
All right. I think you've had too much to drink to be driving. So put your hands behind your back for me. Yeah, put your hands behind your back.
and that is the struggle that the GBI was talking about when they addressed the media today. From there, that's when the other videos that we've been watching all day, the cell phone video and the surveillance video, really pick up. And we have more video right now that I've been told by my producer that we are downloading to really give us a full picture of what unfolded in those few minutes in the Wendy's parking lot where Rayshard Brooks was shot and killed. This is a live picture right now. Protesters are still face to face with officers. Officers have not moved. Protesters have not moved. I'm going to have to ask our field crews on the ground if Georgia State Patrol is still there. We do know they were providing some assistance and backup earlier today, but we have to see the status of those officers now that the crowds have thinned out. But these protesters are not budging. You know, the question is, how long will they stay out there? Will we see any more fires? Will they try to go back on the on-ramp to get back on the highway? We've seen all those things in the past maybe 30 minutes or so, and things that we didn't think that we would see again. So, you know, this is still a very unpredictable situation. Things have taken different turns throughout the past 25, 26 hours right now, and these protesters are still going strong, and police officers are still standing strong as well and not letting up. One thing we can say, though, that they've been willing to do is have dialogue and discussions with those protesters. We haven't, on our end, seen any tear gas deployed. I know our field crew said that they had heard that tear gas was deployed at some point, but since we've been live on air, from what we've seen, we have not seen that. We haven't seen any physical altercations or clashes with officers and protesters, and that is definitely something that we're happy about.
I think we have to talk about the tape, though. This is
right.
the body cam tape that we've just been able to turn around to show you, and we're going to get some more for you as well. And what we see here, though, is very instructive, I think, and I am not a trained police investigator, but it does certainly appear as though the officers who were involved in the altercation with Rayshard Brooks seem to be conducting themselves in a professional manner. There was certainly nothing that stood out from when they asked him to step away from his vehicle, to when they gave him the field sobriety test, which we saw, to the questioning about what he had to drink. And then the explanation as we take a look. This is more video now, and you can see that officer there in the picture that we're looking at is Officer Devin Bronson. Mm-hmm. And you can see his face right there.
Do we have audio for this video that we can play? Okay.
So it was while they were trying to cuff him, Brooks that is, that Brooks resisted. I mean, it's very clear, I think, that Brooks resisted being put in handcuffs. and tried to break away from the police officers.
And the GBI said there was, some sort of tussle between officers and Brooks. The issue, though, that the family attorney has brought up is that when Brooks ran away with the taser, with apparently what seemed to be a taser, and turned around and pointed it at the officers, according to police, is that he was shot then, and they are asking why those shots were fired, being that the taser is not a lethal weapon. But we are learning exactly what led up to that incident. You can see Brooks in the car there. This is moments before he was shot and killed in the parking lot of the Wendy's. We hear officers ask him, if he's had any drinks tonight, how many drinks he's had. He's like, I really don't know. We saw him take that sobriety test.
So how did this car get here?
Here's some audio here.
I mean, it was here before I came. Like, this is my car. It's a rental car, my sister. But, I mean, like I told her, I came here, I met her here.
Okay.
From the beginning, and she picked me up. And, I mean, we went out.
So you met her here at the Wendy's?
Yes.
And then you went out with her?
Yes.
And then she came and dropped
back
you off?
Here.
Okay.
And, I mean, like I told her, I mean, hey, babe, I just want a burger or I want fries. She said, hey, no problem. I'll take you there.
All right.
You get your fries and you come back to the hotel.
Okay.
No
So
problem.
the reason why we're here is because somebody called 911 because you were asleep behind the wheel while you were in the drive-thru, right? You recall that?
I don't.
You don't recall that? You don't recall just minutes ago where you were passed out behind the wheel in the drive-thru? You don't recall that at all?
Absolutely.
Just complete blur.
I wasn't driving. Like I said, I just drank my girlfriend. She probably was sleeping, but like I said, babe, I want French fries.
So far as I'm aware, you're the only person that's been seen in this vehicle, right?
Yeah.
And you've been in the driver's seat the whole time. So how did the car get into the drive-thru line with you behind the wheel?
She drove here. I
Okay.
said, babe, I'm drinking.
In a black car.
In a black Volvo.
And you got into your car.
And I said, hey, you know what? No problem. I'll just meet you at the hotel.
Okay.
And she said,
All right.
hey, get out.
Hold on. So after she drops you off here in her black car, your car was parked where?
Here.
Okay. So how did your car get from here to the drive-thru line?
I never moved.
So how did it get there?
It never did get there. I told you I was in her car.
Well, we've got a 911 call of people reporting a guy passed out behind the wheel in the line. This officer gets here and sees you. Everything's on camera. Sees you in the line.
Here in the line.
In the
Well,
line.
I wasn't in the line. Did I pull you over in the line?
Well, you
walked up there. I had to wake up, man.
You didn't pull him
right
over.
Here?
No, it was here. I had to wake you up.
Well, look.
Then you went back to sleep, and I had to wake you up again.
Like I said, I'm sorry if I just got something to eat. I went to visit my mother's gravesite. I'm not causing any problems.
Well, we got to make sure that you're safe to operate a vehicle. Now, do you know where you are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where
I'm
are
in
you?
Forest Park, Old Dixie Highway.
Old Dixie Highway in
The
Forest Park?
Home Lodge is there, right here.
Right.
Subway.
A subway, okay.
So it's a Subway right here. I'm cool. Like I said, I could.
So you think that you're in Forest Park right now?
I'm on Old Dixie Highway, Clayton County.
Right. No, you're not.
Well, Forest Park, Georgia.
Nope.
Jonesboro, Georgia.
Nope. And try again.
I have to. I mean, like I said, I'm on Old Dixie Highway.
Nope.
I'm not on Old Dixie Highway.
Nope. Quite a ways away from it.
Huh? This is a bridge is here.
Nope. No bridge.
No, I'm saying Old Dixie Highway.
You're not near Old Dixie Highway.
I'm not.
You're not even in Clayton County.
Where am I?
You're in Atlanta.
Yes. Old Dixie Highway.
Old Dixie Highway is not
Yeah, but-
in Atlanta.
It's Forest Park, Georgia, right?
Right. This isn't Forest Park. This is Atlanta.
I mean,
Anyway, how much have you had to drink today?
I drank early.
Okay. How much have you had to drink?
That's when I had, one drink.
All right, you're not being honest with me. How much did you have to
I
drink?
had one drink.
Be honest with me. Over the course of the entire evening, from the time you started drinking until your very last drink, how many drinks did you consume?
I had one drink.
What kind of drink was it?
A margarita.
Okay, how big was the margarita?
It was just a small cup.
A small cup.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Have you taken any medication today?
No, sir.
Any drugs of any kind?
No,
Marijuana, cocaine, nothing like that?
No, sir.
Do you have any medical conditions, physical defects? Hold on, let me finish. Do you have any medical conditions, physical defects, or injuries that would affect your ability to walk, balance,
sir. I'm
or
cool.
operate a vehicle safely?
I'm okay.
Nothing whatsoever.
No, sir.
No issues I need to know about.
No, sir.
All right. Could you just take your hat off for me? Just leave it in your car for me. You just leave it in your car. Can you step out with me, please?
Yes, sir.
Just walk back here. Do you have any weapons on you or anything like that?
I don't have anything on me.
Is it okay if I pat you down? Just make sure.
I have just money, gas, and that was it.
Is it okay if I pat you down to make sure you don't have any weapons?
Absolutely.
All right, can you just turn around, face away from me real quick? What is this? Is it just a bunch of money in your pocket?
That's just my wallet.
What's all this?
It's your money.
How much money do you have in your pocket?
I mean, maybe a couple $100.
Okay. Just like a bunch of ones and stuff. Here.
Yeah,
What?
absolutely.
Just walk over here with me, please.
This is Wendy's.
Yes, this is Wendy's.
Yes, I do remember.
You can see the sign, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
I just came to get something to
Hey,
eat.
you mind just put your phone on the trunk of your car? I don't want you to have anything in your hands.
All right.
All right, so no medical conditions, no injuries, no physical
sir.
defects. Anything.
No,
Are you comfortable
sir.
walking in these shoes?
Absolutely. Well, they're brand new. I just bought them.
Can you walk in them without falling, stumbling, anything like that? Staggering? You walk in them okay?
I just bought them.
Can you walk in them okay?
I mean,
You don't have to show me. I'm just asking, are you comfortable walking in the shoes?
I mean, they are comfortable, but
I'd just like to do some field sobriety tests, and if you'd prefer, you can keep them on. If you're more comfortable with it, you can take them off.
I hadn't been, like I said, I hadn't been operating this vehicle.
Yeah, you have. All right, so
So she came here. I got in the car. She parked. I have no problem. Like I said, I was just trying to get me something to eat
okay.
and go back to my hotel.
All right. Well, I mean, we have a police officer that actually personally witnessed you operating the vehicle, so we know you're operating the vehicle. All right. But are you comfortable walking in the shoes?
All right, so you're watching just one of the videos that we just got into our newsroom. This is body cam video from one of the officers who responded to the 911 call of Rayshard Brooks in the parking lot of a Wendy's off of University Avenue. You can watch the full body cam video with audio on our CBS 46 YouTube page. But what we just saw, we saw this from the very beginning, officers approaching Rayshard Brooks and him having a conversation with officers. They, ask him repeatedly, do you know where you are? He says that he believes he's in Forest Park. He says Jonesboro. He says Clayton County. And officers tell him, no, you're in Atlanta. And what you're watching right now is that tussle between officers and Brooks that was reported by GBI. But just to give you another recap of the video, so they were talking for a pretty long time, Rick. They were going back and forth. I think they even laughed at some point, making jokes. And he was trying to explain. Brooks was trying to explain that his girlfriend had dropped him off in a black car, a black Volvo, dropping him off at the car. Officer said, no, we got a 911 call that you were actually asleep in the drive-thru of that Wendy's, and he had no recollection of that at all.
Well, it's just very sad to watch, knowing
Absolutely.
that these are the final moments of this young man's life, knowing that the officer whose voice we hear asking the questions is moments away from firing his weapon and firing fatal shots at Mr. Brooks. It is just a very sad scene as we take a look at these live pictures now. Again, Bobeth Yates is down amongst the protesters there who continue to be out on the streets. There is no curfew in place for tonight. And Bobeth, we see a number of fire engines and ambulances making their way into the scene there. What's going on? Do you know?
No, they're actually leaving the scene. They were actually in the back of the Chevron station in the back. They're pulling out. They're heading away. And it seems as if, as they left, a large crowd also of protesters also started to leave. But I keep saying the crowd is thinning out, but there's still a lot of people out here. And as some leave, others are coming. In fact, we just had one protester that had a bullhorn, started yelling, justice, no peace, and the entire crowd kind of started chanting along with them. A crowd that had been sitting down all of a sudden got energy once more, and they are back at it, confronting police officers. And, that line of officers are still being met with angry protesters as they come out here just trying to voice their concerns. But if you look down the street where those fire crews are, you can see there's still a large group, people walking away from the scene. But again, there is still a lot of people here.
All right, Yasmina, thank you so much. We're going to head to, Bobeth Yates. We're going to head to Yasmina right now to see what she's seeing from her vantage point. Yasmina? Yasmina, can you hear us?
We're talking. You guys hear me?
We hear you very faintly. I think that's you.
Okay. I believe on the opposite side of what Bobeth just showed, but what we just saw happen was SWAT actually, it looked like they escorted the Atlanta Fire Department over near where the Wendy's is. I can't see them anymore from where we are now, but keep in mind we still had that fire in that area behind where the Wendy's was, which I was hearing that fire was a dumpster. I haven't confirmed that yet, but we did see another small fire back there. So again, in the last 5 minutes or so, Atlanta SWAT escorted the Atlanta Fire Department into this area so that those fire trucks could get back here and, of course, get any of those fires that we're seeing out. Brittany?
How many police and law enforcement do you see right now? Just sort of set the scene with how many protesters you see and what police are doing. The images are kind of dark as we get into the early hours of the morning.
So the area that you're looking at over there, and I think they're throwing more of the fireworks now, but the area you're looking at over there, I think I saw maybe 2 of the SWAT trucks drive over there and maybe 1 Atlanta police car. Most of that police presence is back here near the interstate where they've been set up on some of the ramps to keep people from getting onto the interstate. So I think mainly the goal with that movement that we saw was to get the Atlanta Fire Department back to some of those working fires.
And did we just see some fireworks being set, Yasmina?
Yes, you did. Yeah. So, yep, there's one. Oh, that looked like it.
Can you turn the camera to the left a little bit?
Can you turn the camera to the left a little bit where the fireworks are? Yeah, so we've been seeing this throughout the night, really, those fireworks being thrown, which always catches everybody off guard. But yeah, we did just see someone throw a firework over there. Hopefully everyone made it out of the way.
And Yasmina, does it seem to you, and it might not be easy to answer, that these are new protesters that have come down as the night has gone on, or are these folks that have been out there all night long?
So from what I'm seeing, it looks like a new group of people from what we saw originally this afternoon when we saw the protests and interviewed one family to the groups that we're seeing now. I think a lot of people are coming and going as the night goes on.
Well, it's interesting that there might be some new pockets of protesters arriving at the scene, just as law enforcement seems to be moving in the opposite direction and sort of leaving this space open. There still is law enforcement. I think we all think about the protests of the last several weeks, and a couple of major differences. First of all, we know that there were curfews in place for most of the heaviest protests that took place in the city of Atlanta after the death of George Floyd. Curfews were put in place, and then we also saw the Georgia National Guard that was brought in as a result of an executive order declared by Governor Brian Kemp that allowed members of the Georgia National Guard to actually assist with law enforcement to get those streets cleared during protests over the last several weeks. Neither of those things, not the curfew and not the National Guard, is in place tonight. And so that's why you see sort of these stragglers that are just, milling about, people that have come out on a summer evening, and they're upset, and they're not going anywhere.
And that's exactly what we saw on night one, in downtown Atlanta. We had no curfew and no National Guard, and then that changed by night two. What you're seeing on your screen now, left side is our live image, right side is another look at the body cam video that we got a few hours ago, and we just aired online, and it's on our social media as well, so you can watch it in full. But this shows the moments that led to Mr. Brooks's death. This is where that struggle happens right now, and the body camera, we believe, according to Vic Reynolds, actually fell off during the altercation. It looks like right now, though, we need to go to our live images. It looks like something is being thrown.
It's like they're breaking some windows.
Yeah, Yasmina, can you tell us what's happening?
Yeah, Brittany, so literally within the last couple of minutes, someone started throwing something through the gas station, that to-go store there, and the entire group went over, and they're breaking those windows. Everyone's running over. You can see that now. They were all over at the liquor store and have now moved across the street to what you're looking at now. So they are, in fact, breaking the windows to this business.
Do you know what kind of business it is, and where is it in relation to the Wendy's?
It looks like the convenience store for the gas station. It's called a to-go store. Now everyone's running back this way. I'm not sure what happened over there, but it is a convenience type store, and it's right next to the Wendy's. So we see that gas station, and then we've got the Wendy's over there.
And that does look like we see some smoke there. I'm not sure if you can see it from your vantage point, but it looks like it could be some kind of a smoke bomb from the police.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but whatever it was, it made everyone run back over this way and stop throwing stuff at that store over there. So,
all right, we have Bobeth Yates, who has another angle of the same situation. See if she can see what is happening on that side.
Well, Brittany, I'm at opposite side. I'm a little further back from Yas.